I almost burned this jersey this morning when I first heard the news. Not that the news surprised me, but the Cleveland Browns don't deserve Sheuder Sanders. Now comes news, not surprising, I predicted from the start, that Deshaun Watson will start, and it's not a week-to-week thing, that he has been given the job for the season by the Cleveland Browns. This sorry-ass franchise does not deserve to have Sheuder Sanders on its roster anymore. I wish there were some way that Jimmy Haslam and Todd Monken would decide as we near the season to get rid of Sheuder, to set him free, to trade him elsewhere, and I'm sure nobody would give anything more than what they gave for Sheuder, a fifth-round pick, sixth round, seventh round, I don't know. I don't care. Would I love to see Sheuder in Atlanta? Do I think Sheuder Sanders, this coming football season, could win more games than Penix or Tua could win? And you better believe that I do. Sheuder Sanders is better than either quarterback that the Atlanta Falcons have right now that they're trying to decide between. I know they spent a high pick on Penix. Tua was a high pick and came with a high salary. I got it. But can you imagine Sheuder Sanders in Atlanta, GA? Can you imagine how that city would go crazy for this guy wearing their jersey? And by the way, this jersey was the fifth highest selling jersey in the National Football League last year. That was after Saquon and Jalen Hurts. Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen was fourth. Sheuder is the obviously most popular backup quarterback in the history of the National Football League, although he did start some games last year down the stretch for the Cleveland Browns. And I thought he played pretty well last year. Pretty well to very well. He did beat Joe Burrow. He did beat Aaron Rodgers. He did win his opening game at Las Vegas for what that was worth. He was playing with what Pro Football Focus ranked most of the year the number one worst offensive line in pro football and the dead last worst receiving core in pro football. That's what Sheuder was stuck with last year. And by the way, this competition this year was so rigged that Sheuder was stuck with playing with backups, with third stringers and fourth stringers, some off the roster. There was one, he threw one pass to a tight end who wasn't ranked in the top four. He wasn't listed on the depth chart in the top four tight ends on the Cleveland Browns this year as they continue to rebuild. He didn't get to play with Concepcion or Denzel Boston, the two fairly high pick receivers that Deshaun did get to play with in his first preseason start, and he was the starter from the start. It was rigged. I want to see Sheuder get a chance with somebody who wanted him, and I'm calling big baloney on that video that the Cleveland Browns released, courtesy of their videographer who followed Sheuder in. Remember the first day when he introduced himself to Todd Monken in Monken's new office as the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Remember that video? We debated it on Gridiron. Some of the other guys, I think Akib said, hey, that's a good sign, because Monken said, hey, man, how are you? Good to meet you, because, hey, we really wanted you in Baltimore. Baloney. They wanted him in Baltimore. They did try. Ozzie Newsome did call Deion Sanders to see if they could take Sheuder early in the fifth round, just before the Cleveland Browns took him in the fifth round. Baloney, Todd Monken. Yeah, we wanted you. I could just see old Todd standing on the table to campaign. We got to take Sheuder in the fourth round or the third round, or God knows, God willing, the first round. Stop it. They didn't want, but come on, man. And obviously at that point, Sheuder is saying, well, I don't want to be a backup quarterback to Lamar for the next 10 years. I don't want to get to play only if he gets hurt. And so Jimmy Haslam said, we'll take him because they needed a distraction. while he continues to grope and grovel and just screw up and make a bigger and bigger mess of his franchise after he gave Deshaun Watson a 5-year, $230 million contract guaranteed. It's the worst contract in the history of pro football. So this year, as Deshaun finally got healthy, coming off 2 Achilles reattachments, twice he's had the Achilles reattached. And then he had the big shoulder surgery on his throwing shoulder. And so over the last 5 years now, Deshaun Watson has played 19 games in 5 years because he's been hurt. He's also just been a basket case because obviously the Cleveland Browns gave him, Jimmy Haslam's wife, gave him that contract after he had been accused by 24 women in Houston, Texas, of sexual assault and obviously inappropriate conduct, massage therapists. 2 Texas grand juries had declined to pursue criminal charges against Deshaun. God, no, not against Dion. But 2 had declined. So they said, well, yeah, we'll try this. And he obviously had to serve an 11-game suspension, and he had to pay a $5 million fine, go to a treatment program. It broke him because, he never owned it. He never really apologized for it or showed any contrition about it. I mean, that's the problem. If people are still booing him, he didn't help himself in making his case. But the biggest reason people have booed Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, Ohio, is simply because he's been so bad. His QBR in the games that he has played for the Cleveland Browns is 33. It doesn't qualify, but if it did, over that stretch, he would be dead last in the league. They're booing because he was awful. They're booing because they're cheering for Sheuder. They're not so much booing Deshaun at this point. It's not that everything's forgotten or forgiven or whatever. It's just so long ago. The booing now, the emotion now is generated mostly because they're actually cheering for Sheuder. Because, again, as people know, I'm the biggest Sheuder fan. And there are a bunch of Sheuder fans, but I don't know anyone bigger than me. And I have been on board with this. I wasn't a Johnny-come-lately to this. I was on board from game 1, 2, 3 in Colorado. Heck, I was on board at Jackson State. I just like the way this young man plays quarterback. I like the way he operates. I like his poise. I like his charisma. I like his command. I love his deadly accuracy. And most of all, I love his toughness. At Colorado, he got the crap kicked out of him. Game after game, they could not protect him, especially the first year, but really both years. He got rocked. He got ripped. He got knocked on his ass again and again. He showed me toughness. This isn't some spoiled rich kid. I know he got paid at Colorado because you want to talk about a magnet. You want to talk about a gate attraction, he and his father, but especially him. The way he operated at quarterback, and he doesn't obviously have his father's wheels, but he can move. Maybe he doesn't even have Deshaun's healthy wheels back in the day when Deshaun was making those 3 Pro Bowls, those first 3 years in Houston. He was Offensive Rookie of the Year. Whatever's left of Deshaun, and it's not Houston Deshaun. But, yeah, is Deshaun a little more mobile? Maybe a little more, but Sheuder can move. But he showed me such mental and physical toughness at Colorado and such accuracy and such clutchness. So many great late-game throws. Do you remember the Baylor game his second year in Boulder? God. I truly believe with all my heart and soul that he should have been the first overall pick to the Tennessee Titans, and we know who they took. a young man who I like, but I love Sheuder. And I still believe Sheuder could be better than Cam Ward in Tennessee. If he'd gotten the same opportunities that Cam Ward has gotten in Tennessee, I just believe he'd be better. I'm not even saying that he's a perennial Pro Bowl quarterback. I just say he can win football games for you because I like his DNA. I love his father. I believe in his father. And he has father in him. The charisma, the clutchness, the it factor. He's got all that in him. And yet those things, his style and his swagger, those are exactly what the NFL condemned him for. I don't know exactly what he said in some of those combine interviews. I don't know. They thought he came across as incredibly entitled and arrogant. Whatever. Yeah, they all are. Any quarterback. Tom Brady was. He went in the 6th round. But what did he tell Bob Kraft first day he met him? I'm going to be your quarterback, and I'm going to be a star quarterback. They all have that in them. Yeah, Sheuder, he's got style. All I know is he can play. That's all I care about, is he can play. And if you put him with the newly stocked roster, the rebuilt offensive line, and you gave him Concepcion, and you gave him Denzel Boston, and we love the tight end that they fell into in the 4th round last year. Okay, I got it. Judy's still there, and he's okay. But if you gave him that weaponry, it's not great, but it's way better than he had last year. Things would start to pop for Sheuder Sanders. Then you'd start to really see him operate. But I haven't seen him. He didn't even get to play. It was rigged. Why was it rigged? Because Todd Monken is part of that good old boy network that did not like Sheuder Sanders. Book it. He was part of it. Todd Monken is on his 14th job in college and pro football. That's a lot of jobs. 14 jobs, starting at Grand Valley State. Yeah, he was a head coach at Southern Miss, and he did okay. Not great, but not bad. And he was, for 2 years, Georgia's offensive coordinator, and they won the championships. I got that, but they were just loaded with talent. I don't think he's an idiot or a fool, but he's part of that good old boy network. And he was Lamar's coordinator for 3 years in Baltimore. First year, Lamar did win MVP. Second year, probably should have won MVP. It was a close call with him and Josh Allen. But my point is, I just don't believe he loves Sheuder. And I do not believe he loved it that Deion did show up in training camp this year and was like, well, gee, I just want to talk to Todd about how to handle my son. Deion's been coaching him since he was, 5 years old? Deion knows the kid inside and out. But that's just exactly why the good old boy network says, leave us alone. We know this way better than you know this. What have you done as a head coach in Colorado? That's their attitude. This was doomed from the start. And then finally, it was doomed because Jimmy Haslam got so shamed for the 5-year, $230 million contract to Deshaun. He took so much crap over that, deservedly, that now he sees the light. He sees an opportunity to be able to say, I told you he could play. He's finally healthy. He's, going on 31 years of age. He's still somewhat in the backside of his prime. I'm not sure there's any prime left. So both Haslam and Monken, as a first-year NFL head coach, they're reaching back for Houston Deshaun, who I don't think exists anymore. Jimmy Haslam wants to be able to show the world, see, look, I wasn't so stupid after all, was I? He wants one last hurrah to show the world he knew from the start what this could be. And Andrew Berry, the obviously black GM of the Cleveland Browns, is in a position where he's got no power. And he can just sit back and say, gee, I gave Todd the coaching job and the responsibility. Jimmy Haslam gave him the coaching job, and nobody has any responsibility except the owner. This is a Jerry Jones wannabe. At least Jerry's got 3 Super Bowl rings to show, 3 Super Bowl trophies in his office. I know it's been a long time ago, but he did do that with a lot of help from Jimmy Johnson and a little from Barry Switzer. He did that. He was the GM of those 3 Super Bowl teams. I know it's been 30 years. But what has Jimmy Haslam done? Nothing. What does he have to show? Nothing. And now he wants to show you Deshaun can do this, that he did know what he was talking about with Deshaun Watson. This is just tearing me apart because Sheuder just needs an opportunity where he is wanted, truly wanted. And it takes somebody, it takes an Arthur Blank. Does he really know football? I don't think so. He keeps turning over his staff and hiring and firing GMs. It's going to take some act of God like that, where somebody is enlightened enough to say, you know what, Sheuder could really be good if we gave him an opportunity. He really could. You want to talk about a diamond in the Cleveland rough right now? He is a diamond waiting for somebody to see him way down in the deep grass in Cleveland, down in the mud in Cleveland, Ohio. There's a diamond. Let's take him. We can steal him right now. We could get him for virtually nothing. Doesn't make any money. We don't really have to spend a high pick on him. And all he would do is turn around a franchise. All he would do for the Atlanta Falcons is put them back on the national map. They are loaded with talent. Obviously, I love their skill talent. I like their defense. I love their division they're in. I'm a Baker fan, but still, I like Bryce Young, and I like Baker, but are they invincible? Is Shuck invincible? Are the New Orleans Saints dominant? No. Kellen Moore. It's a winnable division. You put Sheuder in that division, look out above. Here they'd come. You'd have a playoff team. You'd have a wildly popular quarterback who would fit Atlanta. Oh, God. I can't even imagine. It's just for me, it's to the point of getting the hell out of Cleveland. That's all I was left with. I knew this was coming. It was rigged from the start. Monken didn't want him. Haslam just wanted him as a distraction, as a curiosity for a while before he could find what he wanted or get Deshaun back in sync and in rhythm and healthy. And here we are. We're stuck with this. And I hate it for Sheuder Sanders because he's so much better than this. Come on, somebody, wake up and see. I'm sure Cleveland would let him go because they want to get him out of Deshaun's hair because they want to give Deshaun every opportunity. They don't want the Sheuder faithful out there booing Deshaun. They want to clear the decks for Deshaun. So somebody wake up, call Andrew Berry and say, yeah, we'll give you a whatever 6th or 7th round pick for Sheuder. I'm pretty sure at this point they'd say fine. Do it. Get him the hell out of Cleveland, please.